जय हिंद दोस्तों, मैं हूं मेजर मोहम्मद अली शाह और मेरे को बड़ी खुशी हो रही है कि मैं अपने एक बहुत ही इलस्ट्रियस सीनियर, बल्कि जिनको आई हैव हैड द ऑनर of seeing and knowing the general officer from close, not when he was the general officer only, but also when he was a lieutenant sir. Sir, हंस रहे हैं इस बात पे. So when sir was, imagine knowing a general officer or seeing him when he was a lieutenant sir. I mean, it was amazing. बल्कि lieutenant उस टाइम पे second lieutenant थे बल्कि sir. So it is something. So it's extremely special to me, in fact. And sir was the YO of 170 Field Regiment at that time. बाद में medium बनी field हुई, वो अलग बात हुई. Sir was my 2IC, my second in command. वो बहुत डर लगता था, अभी भी डर लग रहा है. And then sir commanded 2 medium regiment in Jodhpur. And what a command! What a command! You ask the officers, the men, the JCOs about sir, they will sir के गुण अभी भी गाएंगे वहां पे. बल्कि I have had the personal honor of serving under sir's direct command. जब हम LC पे थे हम लोग and JNK में थे हम वहां पे, and sir has seen lot of experiences in the army. General officer is extremely illustrious, and of course, I mean, he commanded a brigade from Pathankot. Thereafter, he was chief of staff, in fact, in a place which is very dear to me in the northeast in Nagaland, at Trico, at the Spkr, the same place where I had the honor to do ADC to 2 generals. Thereafter, sir has just recently retired, and you can make out by his French beard, which is suiting him very, very well. In fact, sir had a very good mustache. As a young YO, I remember, मैं छोटा बच्चा था. I had just become I was not even a teenager at that time. I was लेफ्टिनेंट सर को तो एक लेफ्टिनेंट करके ना जो आती है एक इमेज, वो सर की थी. एंड एनीवे, आई कैन गो ऑन अबाउट सर. मैं बहुत चीजें मैं सर के बारे में बोल सकता हूँ. आइए गुफ्तगू करते हैं हम विद जनरल ऑफिसर हु इज एक्सट्रीमली इलस्ट्रियस, मेजर जनरल सुमित तलवार. सर, जय हिंद and thank you very much for taking your time, sir.
Jai Hind Ali, and thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And you're doing great out. I see sometimes your podcasts which are there, and thereafter you're on television. You're also on the movie screen, and so I mean, wonderful interacting with you. And of course, we meet after a couple of days on the Diamond Jubilee of our regiment's raising day. Yeah, Ali.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Let's start from the very beginning. सर, आपको फौज में आने की प्रेरणा कहां से मिली, कैसे हुआ, ये वो कहानी क्या थी कि आप फौज में आए? एंड सर,
yeah, so Ali, we are from a family of soldiers. My great grandfather was Subedar Major with Province Horse. My dad was in the army. My brother was in the army. He retired as the ENC. My son is in the army.
So of course, that's the most important thing I forgot to mention. Sir's son is from the same regiment as sir, which sir had commanded. Sir, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I think there was no other option, and one didn't see anything else beside the army to join in. In between, there was a slight hesitation in which I think I wanted to join the Navy because I had just learned sailing in Hyderabad, and I thought that that was close to what the Navy does. But then I think finally they said that, yes, this guy is non-technical, so let him stick on to the army. And I was very, very fortunate to have joined one of the finest regiments, 170, in which you were also commissioned. And I can just imagine the joy which your father had when you were commissioned. Because, Ali, to be very honest, it is when your blood goes into the same regiment, ready to sacrifice his own blood for the nation, there can be no better feeling than that. To be very, very,
true, sir.
Yeah.
Very true, sir.
The past 37 years, I think they've been, from 87 onwards, they've been a roller coaster. Large number of ups, some downs, which are there, and largely smooth rides. I say so because I've been very, very lucky and very fortunate, Ali. I say I'm very fortunate to have met some incredible people, great seniors, fantastic CEOs. Oh, your father, what an amazing person. So, been very, very fortunate these last 37 years. And yes, of course, Alka has also been along with me throughout this. Yeah.
Sure. So, I remember, you mentioned about Alka ma'am, I remember my parents going for your wedding to Nainital, and hum chote bache the time pe.
I
Sir,
lost you, Ali, for a moment.
sorry,
What were
sorry,
you
sorry.
saying?
There was a network glitch, sir. Now, can you hear
Yeah,
me
yeah.
now, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you
Sir,
now. Proper, yeah. Strength
sir.
5.
You mentioned about Ms. Alka Talwar. I remember हम छोटे बच्चे थे and my parents going for your wedding to Nainital and जब आप आए थे जब कार्ड देने के लिए घर पे तो
Yeah,
हम छोटे
yeah,
बच्चे थे. We were very excited कि oh sir is going to get married. तो तुमने
yeah.
आपने मेरे को देखा भैया तुमने तेरा तो बहुत टाइम है अभी तू क्या हंस रहा है तो वो बात मेरे जहन में it's still can you beat it? It's stuck on to me till for ages. Even
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the time when I was getting married, मेरे माइंड में वही आ रही थी अरे तेरे को तो बहुत टाइम है तू क्यों हंस रहा है and in fact
No, no.
4th January को I attended your son's wedding in fact आप सोचिए how
Yeah,
time flies
yeah,
how
yeah,
time flies
yeah.
sir
So we got married on 17th of October. And, the great thing about that time or those times was that I think General Shah, your father, he was the CEO, yes. But it was your mother who actually mothered us, and so she was very excited about who's this kid. And Alka and me met incidentally at Nainital, and it was at a lake. And then one of the girls who smiled at you, so you kept on thinking that she's fallen in love, and then you carry on. And she didn't reply for a couple of years till her dog died, and then we sent someone to kill the other dog also, and so that she could write. And but that is all in the lighter vein. But yes, the CEO's wife had a very important role, and that sometimes I feel is not acknowledged today. She could convey the pulse of the unit to the commanding officer, and we all went to her that this is what is happening. This is what is the personal issues which were there. You couldn't share it with the CEO. You obviously shared it with then the CEO's wife. Yeah,
sir sir एक किस्सा मेरे को याद आ रहा है बचपन में if I memory is correct अब the मुस्कुराहट the smile on your face I think you got what I'm going to say मेरे
yeah,
को कुछ याद आ रहा है I was a very small child I don't have much memory of it but I remember कुछ forgive me for this I might embarrass you slightly आपका कुछ शायद आई कार्ड या गुम हो गया था जब आप when you were newly commissioned as a second lieutenant वो ऐसा कुछ हुआ था क्या सर या
yeah,
अगर
yeah,
ऐसा
yeah.
remember करेक्टली वो किस्सा क्या था सर
Yeah, so it was on 31st of December 1987. We got commissioned about 11 days back. It was the loss of an iCard, and it was crazy. My friend Ajay Gautam from Ordnance, both of us went out on the 31st to get the inlet of the iCard made. And then you could put that chain around, which was there. And at Palika, it was pickpocketed.
Okay.
We didn't realize it.
In
And
Delhi, in Delhi.
in Delhi, yeah, in Delhi. It happened on 31st of December. And we
अच्छा,
reached
so you
home.
had not joined the unit as yet.
No, I had not joined the unit, yeah.
Okay, understood, sir.
Yeah. And we reached home, and then I realized that the iCard is not there. So it was then panic. And that was possibly the most exciting and horrible New Year's ever. So instead of dancing at DSY that night, we were with the police personnel at the police station in Parliament Street. I think it was Parliament Street, and lodging the FIR and other things. And I had not yet joined the unit. Lost the iCard. Didn't know the iCard number. So the first letter to the adjutant goes something like this: I have the honor to state that I've been commissioned into 170 regiment and I've lost my card. I then go to post offices. I pray to gods, and I pray to all gods, all goddesses here, there, whoever, get me this iCard back. And one of them took pity on me. One of these gods, I think it was Lord Krishna, possibly. So on the 4th of Jan in the evening, there is no electricity in the house. And it's a typical Hindi movie event, what is happening. Somebody comes, knocks at the door, and this is about 7:38. And the electricity comes, the light comes at Noida. And the guy says that, does this iCard belong to you? And so what had occurred was whoever had pickpocketed it didn't find that of much value. So he dropped it at the National Stadium Cinema Hall. A coursemate of mine, his neighbor had gone to see a movie 9 to 12, and he saw it there. And he said, "Oh, this iCard, maybe, my neighbor's got commissioned, so possibly he would know what to do with it." And he gives it to this guy, and this coursemate of mine is my company type. So who has somebody visiting him after 3 or 4 days from Noida, and he gives it to this guy, and he comes home and gives it to me. So I mean, it was something which was unbelievable. And then I joined the unit, and the letter, Colonel Chaturvedi was the adjutant. God bless him, very, very kind person. And he gives me back my letter stating that I knew that you had misplaced it somewhere. But yeah, that was that. And so that was the story of the iCard. And therefore,
I,
your belief in God, Almighty, strengthens in some ways. And of course, you got to be lucky, I guess.
sir,
Yeah,
sir. So you were ADC to the Army Commander, Eastern Command as well, sir, to
yeah,
General Jamil Mahmood, in fact.
right.
And having done an ADC in the East myself too, in fact, at 3 Corps. So, in fact, the ill-fated aircrafts of General Jamil Mahmood, his last flight. In
Yeah.
fact, I believe you were to go in that aircraft, you were to accompany him. But since Al Kamam was expecting, so the general told you that "Nahi, you stay back and
Absolutely.
yes, sir. So it was
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. They were going to Bhutan, and at that young age, you got about 4 years of service or 5 years of service, and especially in those times, a foreign country was very tempting. And when General Jamil said that, "No, you stay back and look after your wife," in some ways I was disappointed at that time. And 5th of May, my son was born, the elder one, Abhishek. And 7th of May, we spoke. General Jamil gave me a call from Bhutan, and he said he's coming back and he wants to meet the Kiddu. And 7th, this incident occurred. The plane crash took place, the Hepter crash, and there were no survivors. We lost Mrs. Jamil also. We lost the MA, another wonderful person. And we lost the pilots, the other people who had gone long. But I guess that is what is destiny. But I just want to state something, the MA's wife, Mrs. Ahmed, Mrs. Farhat Ahmed, she came in and she's just lost her husband, right? And so there is a period of mourning of 3 days. So that period got over, and then she came to meet Alka at the command hospital, and Alka started crying. And look at this lady, and what she says is that, look, I have not come here right now to partake in the ceremonies or in the sadness of my husband's death. I've come here to celebrate the birth of your child. And when she comes from Hyderabad, she, mind you, does not forget to get all the clothes and everything else that she's knitted and stitched for the kiddu. And that's a remarkable thing. I mean, and that is why I really admire a lot of wives and spouses of soldiers who've passed away and who go through so much and still manage to keep their chin up. And General Jamil was a wonderful person, no doubt about it. A great person, Mrs. Jamil. And we've been in touch with their family. Mrs. Ahmed is right now in US. And of course, yeah, so that is it. Yeah.
So on 22nd July 2003, there was in हमारी रेजिमेंट जहाँ पर थी अखनूर में टांडा सेक्टर में उसके बहुत करीब में एमी बटालियन है. So there was a very famous इनफेमस बोलूँ मैं, एक वेरी सुसाइड अटैक हुआ था एमी बटालियन के ऊपर और हमारी रेजिमेंट के बहुत करीब में था जहाँ पे एक ब्रिगेडियर साहब थे एमी के, वो मारे गए थे. Lieutenant General Hari Prasad was the army commander. He had got wounded. The GOC had, so it was imagine an army commander getting wounded, and उस operation में हमारी पलटन ने भी हिस्सा लिया था सर. So you were that time the twice of our regiment in Akmur. So tell us about the experience. I mean, जब आपको ये खबर आई कि ऐसा ऐसा हो रखा है and our regiment has to go in for the operation, they have to be deployed. Amen. What was that about, sir?
Yeah, so that day I think the CO was not there, and this happened in the EME battalion, which was right opposite our house where we were staying, and suddenly we heard some bullet sound which are there, and went to the unit. And I don't want to go into the details of what had occurred. That may not be correct, but yes, the aside part from this is that there were a number of attacks which took place at Akmur, and surprisingly, each time the GOC was on leave. Jan Sapru used to be on leave. I mean, he would go for one day and there would be an attack. So I think one of the lessons learned was don't send the GOC ever on leave. And Ram Chetri was there. I think he moved it. Sanjeev Sharma was there. So these guys went in along with the ROPs. The terrorists were neutralized, but there was one of them who continued to hold out for a very, very long time. And again, one of the lessons learned is that for senior officers or all across, and which I imbibed thereafter, is that in case an incident occurs, please do not rush in. Please let 24 hours, 48 hours move in, and let the people on ground who are there handle it. The moment somebody senior comes in, unfortunately or so, whatever happens is that your attention does get diverted. We may want to admit it, we may not want to admit it, but that's a fact. I mean, if suppose an army commander is coming or somebody is coming or a co-commander is coming, automatically the attention moves away from the terrorist to the other person. Yeah.
Very true, sir. Very true.
We had something similar. We had something similar, what had occurred in Dinanagar. This is when I was commanding 78 Brigade. And these guys had attacked a police station. And thereafter, we were sent in there. We reached about in 2 hours. And there were, I think, 3 or 4 terrorists. And they were all neutralized by 2 boys of 16 Rajrif. But it was decided at that moment that we should let the police take the credit because it was their police station and it would not be very good for their morale. And that is one thing which I think we really imbibe in the army. And that is the hallmark of our organization. As a senior, throughout, it is very important that we must let others take the credit. Whether it is other organizations, whether it is our own unit, let the juniors take the credit. If there's a screw up, then obviously you have to be accountable for that and you have to take on that responsibility. You can't pass on. But credit must always be given to others, even when it is due to you. As long as internally you are happy that, yes, you've done a great job, I think that is what you want. Yeah, so that was there. And that boy, I think the army recognized him also. They gave him a Sena medal. But it was two of these boys on an LMG post on top of that police station who neutralized the 4 terrorists. And there was everybody else. There was a lot of police, there were a lot of civilians, and a huge lot of people. But these 2 boys, the unsung heroes which are there, they were the ones who did this. And that is something which will continue throughout in our life, I think, in the army.
Jeez.
And it must.
Sir.
Yeah.
So especially the 22nd July ka jo kissa tha 2003 when you were the officiating commanding officer of the Veer Rajput of 170, I can well imagine the plight. It was all hell must have broken loose in Akmur. In fact, losing a brigadier, a senior officer, and army commander getting wounded was उसके साथ कुछ महीनों बाद सर अराउंड अर्ली नवंबर
Yeah, you went
मैं
in. Yeah,
जी सर जी
yeah,
मैं
yeah, yeah.
रजौरी से आ रहा था मैं विद द कॉन्वॉय विद
Right.
सीबीएस रोल से एंड टाना टीसीपी वी वर स्टॉप्ड क्योंकि आगे ऑपरेशन चल रहा है एंड दैट्स द टाइम इन अखनूर ब्रिज in fact our regiment also participated in that operation and 8 सीखलाई के ऑफिसर थे उस टाइम पे लेफ्टिनेंट ठाकुर slightly senior to me now Lieutenant Colonel Thakur retired now he did the house entry went for the inner cordon I had the honor of interviewing Colonel Thakur in fact he was telling the entire experience about how 170 supported them and how they were on the outer cordon and how he went in and how he neutralized the terrorists inside the house. तो हमारी पलटन ने बहुत बहादुरी से हर जगह पे हर मैदान फतेह किया जैसा अपने कमांड की सर टू मीडियम हर मैदान फतेह तो सर हाउ वाज द ट्रांजिट फ्रॉम अ प्योर राजपूत पलटन टू अ खालसा पलटन बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी वेरी टू मीडियम इज अ वेरी वेरी गुड रेजिमेंट एंड इनफैक्ट आपकी कमांड तो बहुत मजबूत थी बहुत लोग आज तक हाउ द ट्रांजिशन सर फ्रॉम अ प्योर राजपूत टू अ प्योर सिख पलटन सर
Yeah, so I'll tell you. Firstly, what happens is when you leave your Pulton and you go to another Pulton to command, there is definitely at that moment there is sadness all across, and you feel that you feel shattered internally. But it is the high of command that takes you on thereafter, and when you go to a fresh unit. The great thing which is there is that whatever good which you have picked up from the previous unit, you can go and put it in place there. And your family has increased. Right. Suddenly you are one regiment, now two regiments. Your family is increased. 170 was outstanding in sports. Very good in cross country. And I found that since 170 was great in cross country, when I moved into 2, the first thing which one wanted to take up was that we should do very well in cross country there. And we started on cross country and things weren't too great. But then God is there with you. Vaiguru smiled, and within 15 days there was a brigade competition, and we won everything. The first 8 or 9 guys were ours. And then, I mean, it went on, and then we won the core cross country twice. And incidentally, 170 came in there, and they came 6th or so, but that's all right. Either way. 2 was an outstanding command. It's got a very rich history. In fact, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but it has 2 chiefs of army staffs of opposing armies. So Kumar Mangalam from India and Tikka Khan from Pakistan.
Acha,
Right. And
okay.
both were prisoners of war together. May not be together, but they were prisoners of war during the Second World War. So two has got a great, rich history. And why sports are very important at the unit level. So when you win, say the core cross country, for the unit, it is possibly more important than India winning the World Cup. Right. And each of these issues binds the unit together. There is cohesion which is there in the unit. And since we are talking about this, let me also say that this morning was fantastic. Arsenal, the club which I support, 12:30 this morning was the match, and it defeated Real Madrid 3-0 in the first leg. There were 2 fantastic strikes by a guy called Declan Rice. I've never seen anything being hit so beautifully, so sweetly ever. So great times. Yes.
Wow, sir, that's great. And sir, one more. Since you mentioned about credit, मैं तो ये बोलूँगा कि since you were cheering for them, your club did well, sir. मैं तो ये बोलूँगा.
No, we're very, very fortunate, which is there. God was there with us. Yes.
जी सर.
Yeah.
सर एक और वो किस्सा वाकई याद आ रहा है जब आप ट्वाइस ही थे ना सर आप 170 के. So once you called me to your office and you said कि I have been told as an ROP commander तुम पोस्ट से अभी आए हो और मैं ललियाली ओपी और वहां पर था बटल के आगे गन एरिया में तो तुम पोस्ट से आए हो तो आई एम टोल्ड बाय द ड्राइवर दैट तुम गाड़ियां चलाते हो हेवी व्हीकल चलाते हो पहाड़ों पे खास तौर से तुम गाड़ी बिल्कुल नहीं चलाओगे. मैं, yes sir, बिल्कुल sir, I will not drive sir.
हाँ, तुमने
Next
बदमाशी की है.
next morning, अच्छा 9 आरोपी लेके सुबह 4:30 बजे हम लोग आरोपी लेके जा रहे हैं. 5 बजे हम पोस्ट पे पहुंचते हैं. मैं देखता हूँ ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन से एक जिप्सी आ रही है विद अ जेड साइन. दैट वाज यू एट 5 a.m. एंड रेड हैंडेड. यू कॉट मी ड्राइविंग अ एलएस, इसको सिविल भाषा में बोलेंगे ट्रक, आर्मी ट्रक. मैं, ओ बाप रे, कल ही वो सर के ऑफिस में शाम को मिला है और आज सर ने रेड हैंडेड पकड़ा मेरे को. सर आप इतने सुबह सुबह एम्बुश लगा के वहां पे कैसे पहुंच गए 5 बजे वहां पे?
See, देख, तुम बदमाश तो हो ही यार, है ना. You've done lot of other badmashis also, which we will not talk about here. ठीक है. So I think we'll switch this topic to something else. Otherwise, both of us will be in trouble.
ठीक है. Before we switch the topic, सर ने एक दिन मेरे को अपने ऑफिस में बुलाया दोबारा. इसके बाद ये उसके बाद में, हाँ, when you talk about people being incorrigible, I'm talking about that. बिठाया, मेरे को चाय पिलाई, चाय ऑर्डर करी, फिर बोला, अली तू कटरा गया था. मैंने कहा बाप रे, मर गया. वो भी अलग कहानी है. तो हम चाय, I knew that something is wrong. सर ने बुलाया था, sitting on the edge of the chair and having tea. Suddenly, अली तू कटरा गया था. मैंने कहा
वो कहते हैं ना, बकरा को पहले, मतलब before the slaughter you have to look after the
Oh God, great times.
No
Sir,
doubt.
tell me, so you were chief of staff of the Spkr in Nagaland, and in fact, I have very, very fond memories. In fact, we had Assam Rifles, the not just sector, but the IJR North, South, and IJR East. भी शायद आपके टाइम पे आ गया था, हमारे टाइम पे नहीं था IJR East. So they were also there, and you know my affinity towards the Northeast, particularly Assam Rifles, because बहुत से हमारे troops Northeast part of India से उस टाइम पे आया करते थे. So how was your experience in Nagaland, sir?
Yeah, so I think it was a wonderful time which was there, and so I'll first talk about the appointment. I was there as Chief of Staff 3 Corps at Dimapur, and the Chief of Staff is responsible for maintaining the battle rhythm of the headquarters, right? And I've been GOC of a division, and this may not sound correct, but I feel that the appointment of Chief of Staff, if not more, is almost as equally important as that of a GOC of a division. It is, like the conductor of an orchestra, and he's required to create and produce the correct harmony for the audience. And the audience, mind you, is not the army commander or the corps commander. The audience is everybody around. So to all these places, and this is also in a unit, the 2IC is very important. The chief of staff, very important. The deputy GOC is very important. The number 2 is a very, very important cog in the wheel. I was also fortunate that I had 2 wonderful co-commanders who were there. R.C. Tiwari, who's presently Army Commander, Eastern Command, and gave us a lot of space. We had done the same NDC, so yes, we knew him.
And he was 6 months senior to me, if I'm not mistaken, sir. Academy mein aapke. Ji.
Yeah, he's 6 months senior to me. But absolutely wonderful time with him, and learned a lot from him as to how to give space. But he had moved away when Manipur occurred. And that time there was Harjit Sahi who was commanding. And I can say this, that Harjit took a lot of correct decisions. There was a lot of pressure which was there from a lot of pressure, unwanted pressure. And hats off to Harjit that he took what was right and what the army should have done. Right. You will hear a lot of stories about things going wrong, left, right, and we could have done more or so. But there are certain boundaries which are given. After all, we go back to Clausewitz's dictum that war is but a continuation of policy, and therefore the army also does serve the policy which is being given to it. And absolutely, two great, wonderful co-commanders, and what an organizational climate they provided. It is sad what has occurred there. I mean, I think on 1st of April or so, it was there when we had the Miss India at Manipur. And then this happened after just a month after that, 3rd of May, 3rd of May
Yes.
or 4th of May, which is there. And two wonderful communities. Okay, thankfully the third one hasn't got involved, right? Otherwise, this would really have been a bloodbath. So two wonderful communities, but they just can't see each other's point of view. Just very sad, which is there. But things will improve, definitely. Things will improve. There's no doubt about it. And so I guess we'll leave Dimapur and Nagaland there, no doubt about it.
Sir, sir.
Yeah.
And in fact, I speak fluent Nagamese. You know that, na sir?
Yeah, I know that. I know that.
अंग्रेजी हिंदी से बेहतर नागामीज बोलता हूँ मैं. And,
Yeah.
Sir.
No, so you have to teach me this also. So when I speak to my wife, I'll try and speak in Nagamese. Which is there.
Your sense of humor, sir, always, I mean, it's classic. A lot to learn from you, sir. Sir, after Nagaland, you came to Delhi. In fact, you came as the Provost Marshal. We'll come to that as well. But, sir, as a Major General, you were elected to be the Colonel Commandant of the Regiment of Artillery, which is actually a very rare phenomenon. Normally, the Colonel Commandants are all Lieutenant Generals. Here, when a Major General is elected by the artillery community, it means a lot, sir. How did you feel, sir, when you became the Colonel Commandant Regiment of Artillery, sir?
Yeah, so definitely, no doubt about it, that it's an honor which is there. People have reposed, the SEALs and other officers have reposed their faith in you. But as Colonel Commandant, I don't think I did as much as I should have done. And one should be willing to accept that there are places where one could have done much better.
You're being modest, sir, anyhow, but please continue.
No, and I'm being very honest about it. Yes, one thing which I think which I did was so there was a small booklet which I've made. This is for YOs. I call it Gunnery Vectors, and so I used to send it to YOs getting commissioned from the academies. It is just basically a small handbook about what artillery is about. I find it useful, and thankfully the present Commandant School of Artillery, Bobby Sarna, he has kind of got it published and is giving it to YOs. He does it possibly because the book is good, also possibly because he was my room partner in YOs and he feels he owes me one. I groomed him better than what he groomed me. He's after all the Commandant School of Artillery. Yeah, so that is there. And but there's much more which one could have done. It has become a very, very ceremonial role. And you have about 38 units. And unfortunately, what happens is that most of your attention gets diverted towards looking after the two units you've been associated with. So the other units don't get as much time as they should from the Colonel Commandant.
So though you are from two medium, we from 170 say 170, well, you're from both. In fact, we love both equally. In fact,
Yeah.
So you were the second general officer from 170 as a Major General who was Colonel Commandant. We had General Shah also earlier as a Major General. He was a Colonel Commandant, and then of course you as a Major General who was a Colonel Commandant. So let's talk about...
No, I'll just get back to this. General Shah became Colonel Commandant as a Major General when there were other Lieutenant Generals around from the artillery. In my time, there weren't Lieutenant Generals around, so there was no choice.
Come
Right.
on, sir.
There's no way that you can compare both of us. I mean, there's no way I can ever light a candle to him. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
That's very nice of you, very magnanimous of you, I would say. So let's talk about your role as a Provost Marshal. You know, earlier Provost Marshal used to wear a red beret, and you know, you see the Provost Marshal even with a Major General rank, वो red beret पहन के आपसे पहले भी मैंने Manekshaw सेंटर में जनरल मनोज पांडे के डिनर होते थे वहाँ पे, तो I used to meet the provost marshal. So when I got to know that you were coming as the provost marshal, so I was imagining you with the red beret and thak. In fact, the first dinner of the chief, I asked you, sir, आप होंगे वहाँ पे red beret में, and that kind of. Then that's the time you told me कि नहीं, अब red beret, you don't have to wear red beret, now you can wear. So वो story क्या है? क्या ये आपने propose किया कि red beret नहीं पहननी है? कैसे? How did it happen, sir?
No. This is all across. This has happened. This may have happened for the good. That brigadiers and above all across wear the same uniform. So that's possibly it's kind of getting everybody together and removing what one would say in some ways parochialism or nepotism or whatever you want to call it. So that is there. But this 1.5 years as the provost marshal was an outstanding time. The CMP guys and then women also today, they are absolutely alive. Individually, they will beat any other soldier. I'm telling you. The initiative which they have, the person very often is able to think or able to understand what you are thinking. They are absolutely outstanding individually. So I'm not very sure about collectively, but yes, we are not exploiting them. They've got major tasks of looking after prisoners of war, of mobilization. A large number of time what they're doing is actually policing duties. But they are also the right, CMP was the right corps in which women have come in, women soldiers. And women soldiers are outstanding. I don't want to be gender biased, but I would say that leave aside the physical portion of this. As far as sincerity and diligence to duty is concerned, possibly, the girls are a shade better.
Wow. This is exactly what I heard from the former Director General of the Assam Rifles, because even Assam Rifles has women soldiers. In fact, they get recruited in the Assam Rifles as soldiers, as women. In fact, that's the same thing I heard. That's commendable, sir. Sir,
and other advantage I'll just tell you. So the other advantage which came in as being the Provost Marshal of the Indian Army, the name sounds good. And my 91-year-old mother started thinking that I have become a field marshal. So what else could be better, So your mother thinks suddenly, oh, this guy has become a field marshal. She didn't know that, it's a provost marshal. Yeah.
That's the same thing. Even I thought, as a small child, आपके बहुत से one of your producers, Major Abhi Parmar the, sir. He was Provost Marshal and from Rajput Regiment. So when I heard he was Provost Marshal, I was very happy. I was like, hey, Provost Marshal, he's the third Provost Marshal of India. So I was a small child that time. What Provost Okay, he's the boss of the CMP. So you have this CMP center in school in Bangalore, and I had gone to last year around June. I had gone for the POP in IMA, where I saw Subedar Major Shah wearing a red beret again. So I knew he was from CMP, and his son was getting commissioned.
Yeah.
As an officer. I sent you that video, sir. So I interviewed him, and it was a very proud moment for him. His wife, his brother was there, and the son was saying that he got commissioned. He got through SSB after some more than 10 attempts, much more than 10, in fact. And kya proud moment, sir. Zabardast. It was really very, very good. In fact, I believe he met you also after that. He was.
We met, yes.
आपने बताया कि when you were ADC, that time Jamil Mahmood was going off to Bhutan and he was in Ha. So I could visualize the entire picture because जब मैं भूटान गया था, तो पूरा right from Jaigaon to Phunchling and उसके बाद दोचुला, पुनाखा, हाँ पूरा देखा है सर, पूरा in fact Thimphu, पूरा Takshap Gompa. So I could imagine. You mentioned the foreign posting was very prized. So let's talk about the foreign tenure, sir, that you had in the army. That's very interesting while in the army, sir.
Yeah, so I've had no foreign tenures which are there. The only foreign territory which I have been occupying is my house during the 36 years or 37 years of service which are there. When you came home and you felt like a foreigner, and rest, yes, everywhere else was good fun, which is there. But you know, I'll bring this across in a very different way. You read a lot about, I do read a lot, a fair degree. And what I find is that compared to some of the Western armies, since we are talking about foreign tenures, our young lot do not read as much. And that is really a sad part which is there. Tactically, I think our younger lot is brilliant. I mean, there is no doubt about it. This army tactically is just super. But the transformation from tactical to operational and strategic does turn to be slightly hazy. And the reason for this is because our guys are so busy. Immediately after NDC, there are a couple of postmates of mine who went into MO. From MO, then he went into Commander Division, came back, went into MS. From MS, then he went in commanded a corps, then came back, then DGMO. So what is happening is, where are you getting the time to be able to improve yourself? I mean, this is all good learning on the ground, which is there, and nothing can touch that. There is no doubt about it. So since you don't get the time right now, where do you get the time? You get the time earlier. And this is something which I feel we can imbibe from some of the foreign countries. The present chief has taken out a reading list, the COS reading list, and that's a great initiative which is there. But so I'll tell you, there's a girl called, she's not really a girl, there's a Marine officer called Olivia Garrard. She must be having 7, 8, 9 years of service. She's retired. She's written a great book on Clausewitz, right? And she's explored certain things of Clausewitz, which are absolutely wonderful. There's an article of hers on lethality, and she defines lethality as the point in which death is produced. Okay. Now, it's such an apt definition. At this moment, when our lot should be actually reading, writing, and this is not a cheap hobby. It's quite expensive, because books are today $10,000, $15,000 a book. A number of times, what our fellow is required to do is, I would say, mundane tasks in the unit. And the CO is very important. And therefore, we require the JCOs to pick up these mundane tasks which are there. And I mean, it's also important that the young officers also do this. I mean, like STBs, which are there here and there. All those tasks are also important, no doubt about it. But a certain amount of time must be devoted to reading and writing. Because unless you do this, how do you progress? I'll just give an example. I'll move away from this and move to when I was commanding 59 days. Right. Now, that was a difficult period. We had COVID that time. And that was also a period in which there was this talk of IBGization. IBGization may not be the correct concept for us, right? The brigade was made stronger as a response to CIOps, right? The Div headquarters is a wonderful, wonderful headquarters. it stood the test of time. In a resource-rich environment, you can possibly look at providing sufficient resources to a brigade to be able to undertake those tasks which are independent tasks. But there is no point having an IBG in which, at the very first instance, the brigade is looking back at the corps headquarters that give me more resources. Anthony King has written a wonderful book, Command. So if you go through what exactly has happened there and through the history of IBGization, whatever it is called, we realize that maybe it's not a great thing. And if we go towards this side, what we are doing is we are absorbing the very, very, I would say, lacuna which is there in our adversary's army. Okay. And therefore, that is one aspect which I think is important. Yeah.
So talking, you always are a very, very avid reader, and I remember उस time पे सब मेरे को ना खास तौर से 8/88 पढ़ने का बिल्कुल शौक नहीं था. मैं बायोस में गया, मेरे को समझ में पहले नहीं पड़ा था. I still remember the first chapter of 8/88 on fire discipline. Fire discipline is the language of fire control. It consists of the GPO, the gunner. मैं तो रट के आपने उस टाइम पे कर्नल विनोद कैप्टन साहब थे, आपने उनको मेरे पीछे लगाया था बटल में कि इसको पढ़ाओ. तो कर्नल विनोद तब उससे कैप्टन जीएस विनोद नहीं, he had just become major, sorry, तब वो मेजर साहब बन गए थे. So he would sit behind me and he used to be after me, ये सीखो. And on your visits to the forward area, you would ask me, क्या सीखा, क्या बोला. मैं I used to actually feel that it's not meant for me. मगर there's no escape to it. अब as a defense analyst, जब मैं अपना कुछ बोलना पड़ता है इसके बारे में हर एंगल से, हर thoroughly, you have to read and that there's no escape. There's just no escape to that, sir. So talking about that, sir, have you planned to write a book?
Yeah, I'm doing that. And I'm writing a book on the theory of war. It's about 50 chapters or so, 50 chapters. It's more in breadth than in depth. It starts with that, what is war? And then thereafter, the causes of war and what is victory, things which we should know. And very often we do not know what is there. I'm going through the first revision right now. And I think I've come to the 4th chapter. It also deals with women in war, a lot of experiences which are there. But it's very much in breadth. And this is my angst which is there with people who have retired. And that includes your father and others. That while your father has written a book, I think it's called Sartari Musalman, if I'm that's the one which is there. Yeah.
Yes, sir, that's right. When he had discussed this with you in Shimla, जब आप art track में थे posted, तब आपसे you know the first he had mentioned, आपसे जिक्र किया था उन्होंने, मैं ये किताब लिखूंगा. ऐसा.
Sometime back, there is this lady Ghazala Wahab, right? She writes that senior officers who retired now are more interested in talking and writing about world affairs instead of the organization itself or about war itself. I mean, this is what we've been born and brought up and buttered with. And this is my angst with the entire lot. I have not yet come across a single book written by anyone, any Indian retired army officer, Navy, Air Force. And I mean, Admiral Prakash could have written. There's so many people who could write about writing about theory of war. And I do not know why. Okay. And I totally agree with Ghazala Wahab there. I think she writes for the Force magazine. There. And very, very right. So this is again, this is for YOs. Not YOs, I'll say, but I'll say officers below 10 years of service. And possibly thereafter, I mean, the others can also read it. This would be the first venture. I think by September, October, we should be able to do something to this. Then the next venture is talking about the greats which are there, from Clausewitz to Chanakya to Sun Tzu and the others, and some recent ones like Shimon Nave, the Israeli guy, absolutely outstanding. I mean, they're writing Alexander Svechin, the Russian. So all these guys, and this is the second venture, which will take about a year. And the third venture is the one which I'm really looking forward to, and that is conversations between Kautilya, Sun Tzu, and Clausewitz with others at various points in our in the world history. So that will be about a 3 to 4 years long effort, I think. But that is the one maybe it'll come through, maybe it'll not. I don't know. But that is what I'm right now aiming for. Yes.
Sun Tzu की study, thorough सारा study मैंने भी करी है sir. And I feel like really this thing कि what he had spoken that time. In fact, I read about Kautilya's work as well, and because Sun Tzu mentioned, when he mentions that the acme of a military general is to win wars without fighting. Without fighting, how people would be really puzzled at that time. How can you win a war? How can you even fight a war, leave alone winning without fighting? But then, today it makes sense what China has been doing. That's a different geopolitical subject, sir. We will touch upon that as well. Sir,
Yeah.
it's been such a pleasure. I can't even tell you. बहुत ही खुशी हुई आपसे बात करके सर. आपने वक्त निकाला, and I hope to see you day after in Dehradun.
Yeah,
And
likewise,
sir,
and God bless you, and keep doing well, Ali. Right?
thank you
And
very much, sir.
and when my book comes out, please buy a copy.
100%, sir. 100%. अरे of course, of course. आप बताएगा आपकी बुक कब आ रही है इसको सर. We will. This is going to take the world by storm. ये पक्का देखनी
No,
होगी
no,
सर.
no, no. So it's a very, very small initiative which is there, but it's something which I'm enjoying. The process is very fine. It is a very, very expensive hobby, like I was saying. Each book today which you want to buy, it costs about $8,000 to $10,000, and then to read it, to digest it, and then take out whatever are the essentials. Not very easy. But in case it works out in the manner in which I want it to, I think our officers serving in the army are going to benefit a lot. Sorry, I'll just correct myself. I have said that I have not seen a single officer. No, there are some young officers who are doing, young officers, I mean some brigadiers who recently retired, who are doing wonderful work. One of them is Narang, who's opened up something on PLA. But yes, theory of war, I find that nobody has touched on that topic. Yeah. Thanks, Ali. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू सर. मजा आ गया सर आपसे बात करके. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि आई एम स्टिल दैट. बल्कि आपने वीर राजपूत ग्रुप में देखा होगा, एवरीवन हु वाज पुटिंग देयर नेम इन द लिस्ट ना, जो आ रहे रेजिंग डे पे. आई रोट मेजर मोहम्मद इन ब्रैकेट्स
Yeah,
फॉर वीर राजपूत, स्टिल अ लेफ्टिनेंट. आई स्टिल फील आपसे बात करके लगता है अब तक लेफ्टिनेंट साहब है और आप ऊपर ट्वाइस साहब है वहां पे सर. वही उसी में. एंड बिकॉज़ माय very dear friends, they have been staff officers for you sir, to you sir.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Piyush Shah, Deepak Bora, ये बहुत ही करीबी. They are not my friends, they are my brothers actually. So and they speak so highly of you always. And
No,
they say जो books sir पढ़ते हैं sir.
It is your friends who get you across. There's no doubt. So there's this very close friend of mine called Alok Mehra. So sometime back he told me, he said, why don't you start the work right now? You're not doing anything as such significant. That was about a year and a half back. So because of what he's goaded me, okay, and I am possibly today being able to finish the book in another 4 to 5 months. Otherwise, it would have taken another couple of years. Yes, and of course, Alka's been there throughout. No doubt about it. She kind of does not like me to get up early in the morning and write and all that. So, but then that is, she poor thing, she's stuck with me right now.
Sir,
Yeah.
ज्यादा मैं ये बोल दूं कि I remember my first meeting with ma'am. It was 28 September 2003. Gunners Day था सर उस दिन. और हम लोग स्टेशन आरटी मेस में, and I was given the task of being the MC at that time, and I was newly commissioned. मैंने नया अपना क्लोज क्रॉप लेकर अकेडमी से फ्रेश ज्वाइन ही किया था मैंने. And अलका मैम मिली, हम लोग अरे, and मेरे माइंड में इमेज वो थी कि my parents had gone for the newly married. They would talk about ma'am as the words. I mean, मैं गुस्ताखी माफ करेगा, मैं first name मैं ही ले रहा. I'm talking about General Shah. Sumit's bride. So it was Sumit's bride. It was that's how I mean. And फिर ठीक 2 साल बाद 28 सितंबर 2005 में मैं हेलीकॉप्टर के साथ विद द GOC 3 को जब मैं जरीपा में उतरा मणिपुर में, वो भी एक मेमोरी है गनर्स डे की. दीज आर थिंग्स व्हिच आई नेवर फॉरगेट. एनीवे, जब हम बात करते हैं पीपल हैव left the joy of reading. कल ही मेरा एक पॉडकास्ट रिलीज हुआ है सर, where I've mentioned about people have forgotten the smell of hardbound paper. The smell that how hardbound paper gives you the high, वो या तो गूगल पे या तो और किंडल पे या तो ऑनलाइन पढ़ते हैं, उससे आंखें भी खराब होती हैं. And so that's something, it gives you imagination, it gives you content, it gives you knowledge, and knowledge is power. ये सब आपसे सीखा सर मैंने. सर थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर टाइम. मेरे को अकाई जी साहब, रणधीर सिंह साहब, विक्रम सिंह साहब की याद आ गई. वो 8x8 पढ़ाते थे ना मेरे को. एंड जब आपके ऑफिस में आया था, जयपाल चाय लेके आया था. तो आयो जयपाल, थैंक यू जयपाल. उसके बाद जब बेसिकली चाय तो लाइक also it was great, sir. It was wonderful being in conversation with you, sir. Thank you very much for your time. And before we go, sir, any last message you would like to throw out in the universe, sir?
Yeah, so just quick 2-3 points which are there. Firstly, of course, read and write. There's no doubt about it. Second thing is for everyone all across in the army, be secular. By secular, I do not mean religion and all. That is not there. By secular, I mean that respect the other's arm or service which is there. Because during war and during certain times, there are certain times where the primacy of the arm or service would be different. It is like, say, an ammunition convoy which is going. At that time, you could have infantry guys who are there guarding the convoy, but the primacy there is of the ordnance fellow or the ammunition which is there. So that is very important. And only if we respect each other will we find that combined arms really occurs. And then only you can graduate into joint and integrated and further on, which is there. The third one which is there is that do not let, and this is a difficult one, personal recognition stand in way of an activity. None of us are important. The activity it is, and it's a very difficult thing to do. But if one can, it's something which is there. Lastly, as senior officers, remember that the chain of command works both ways. Most importantly, when you ring up a CO, the CO shouldn't be worried, that my co-commanders called me. Or it should be that he should welcome the call, that possibly he's rung me to give me some advice. Okay, he is not there to question me. I'll just take another moment. See, a suicide occurs in a unit. The guy who's most affected is obviously the CO. He's the one who's upset. He has to look after the unit. He has to get the unit back together. Now, at that moment, if you want the Dev GOC also, and the brigade commander also, and the co-commander also, and the army commander calling him, please come along with your SM to so-and-so place and all that. Why is this suicide? No, don't do this. Give him time. And after 24 hours, 48 hours, when, he's taken control over things which are there, that is the time, if you want, and if you feel that the thing is really gone wrong, you can look at this. But your call as a senior to the CO should be something which he should welcome. And the chain of command goes both ways. It just doesn't go one way. Yeah, so that is it. And thank you so much, Ali. Taking enough of your time.
So it's so much of wisdom coming from you, and I'm learning so much. आपकी इस बात पे से जो third point आपने बोला ना, when the co-commander calls the commanding officer, he should not feel that he's been called to be reprimanded, but to be complimented. इससे मेरे को एक किस्सा याद आ रहा है सर. 2005 में General Shah had taken over 3 Corps, and that time, just a few days before that, Sir, 19 Rajput had a very, very deadly ambush where there was a very, very bad ambush, in fact. So General Shah was in Mantri Pokri and he had called for the CO 19 Rajput. He had come. And I was there, I was witness to that meeting. And instead of, but he consoled him rather. Because poor guy, he already must be under pressure. He already itna kuch ho chuka hai. The co-commanders called him. He comforted him. He said, let's not look back, let's look forward. बाद में उसी पलटन ने इतना अच्छा काम करके दिखाया बिकॉज ऑफ द शाबाशी. एंड यही चीज मैंने आप में भी देखी थी. आप भी ऐसे ही करते थे. यू ऑल्सो यूज टू ऑलवेज पुट योर हैंड ऑन द मेन, ऑन द ऑफिसर, एंड यूज टू ऑलवेज लिसन टू द प्रॉब्लम. सर थैंक यू. मजा आ गया था आपसे बात करके. ऑनेस्टली इट्स बिन बहुत कुछ है बातें करने में, हमारी बातें कभी खत्म नहीं होंगी, बट आई रिकॉल दैट यू आर बिजी एंड हमको ट्रैवल भी करना है सर. In about 24 hours from now, we would be traveling soon. But मजा आ गया सर आपसे बात करके. Thank you very much, sir, and my
Thank you.
regards to your family, sir. सर
Thank
जाते
you.
जाते एक और आखिरी चीज बातें खत्म नहीं होगी. I know last चीज. This for your people from two medium who would be watching, sir. ये खास मैं टू मीडियम वालों के लिए बता रहा हूँ मैं. भाई बात ऐसी है कि 2014 में ना मैंने एक फिल्म की थी हैदर, विशाल भारद्वाज की. फिर तिग्मांशु दुलिया ने मेरा काम देखा. He offered me a सरदार रोल in that film. And he said, तुम चिकने चेहरे हो मगर मैं तुमको एक ऐसा रोल दूंगा जो तुमको मजा आ जाएगा. It was Sardar Jasjeet Singh in a film called Yara, and it's on Z5. उसमें विद्युत जामवाल, श्रुति हसन ये सब थे. And I grew my beard, I grew my hair for 2.5 years. शूटिंग डिले हो गई थी और असली मैं आपको फोटो भेजता हूँ सर उसमें. And 6 मीटर की पगड़ी मैंने खुद बांधनी सीखी. I tied it sir. मैंने तो सिगरेट उसके बाद पी नहीं. आज वो दिन हो गया और आज का दिन हो गया, सिगरेट मैंने हाथ नहीं लगाया. एंड मैंने श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी पढ़ी. आई स्पेंट अ मंथ इन द गोल्डन टेम्पल डूइंग सेवा. एंड आई विश द टू मीडियम पीपल कैन सी दैट पिक्चर. आपको आई विल शेयर दैट विद यू एज वेल सर. एंड पंजाबी में भी बोलनी सीखी मैंने, ठेठ पंजाबी बताऊंगा आपको इधर फोन में बताऊंगा. आई कैन गो ऑन टॉकिंग अबाउट इट. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, मजा आ गया आपसे बात करके सर. जय हिंद सर.
God bless. Bye bye. Take care. God bless.
जय हिंद सर.
Bye.
So just stay on, sir. I'm just